Admittedly, I've never been super into JRPGs, not because I'm disinterested, but because the games are fucking long. I have trouble finishing sentences, let alone a game that's 50 plus hours.
Today, Junior?
Funnily enough, I probably have over 100 hours in Final Fantasy XII just from watching my friend play the game when we were younger, but I could never get myself to actually play the game. Now perhaps it's because of my full-fledged dive into weebdom, but I decided to pick up Tales of Arise. I've never played a Tales game, but know the series has something like 17 titles ranging from Berseria to Zestiria to Vesperia, and honestly I was just feeling Disperia. Why do I even write jokes? Luckily enough though, Arise is its own story, so you can dive right in without playing any of the previous titles. Oh, and dive in I did. Turns out the game being too long wasn't the issue, but the fact that I couldn't put it down. For the past few weeks, I've cut off all human contact to play this game. Not that I had any to begin with. I already have over 60 hours, which is the longest I've devoted myself to a game in a long while. The game has a ton of upsides, a few downsides, but overall it was an enjoyable experience. But do you know what else is a truly enjoyable experience? Getting your very own custom gaming PC, and boy do I have a deal for you. I partnered up with Apex Gaming PCs to create my very own line of custom PCs that you can purchase from online. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with the market, but it's nearly impossible to get PC parts reliably and in a timely manner. Because of that, custom-built PCs are really the best option at this current point. And Apex is an absolutely fantastic company, an incredibly knowledgeable staff with a lot of different options for you to actually customize the type of PC you want and get those parts reliably, like a 3090 or a Ryzen 9. But we aren't stopping there, no. If you want to get some savings on a PC, you can actually use code TONY for 5% off of your order, which in a grand scheme of things on a PC is quite a lot of money. So make sure to check out the link in the description and go ahead and use that code, and hopefully you enjoy the builds. And quickly, if you enjoy this content at all and want to help out your boy with a like, I'd appreciate that. It helps more than you think. One of the main reasons for JRPGs being so long is their heavy emphasis on story. Tales of Arise is no different. It tells the story of Dana and Reyna, two planets that at one time were at peace. However, 300 years before the events of our characters, Reyna invaded Dana, splitting the country into 5 districts and enslaving the entire population. Each district is ruled over by a lord with a master core, whose goals are to extract the most astral energy from the Danan population to those master cores to win the crown contest and become the next Renin ruler. I think. For obvious reasons, Danans don't like that, because they're slaves. But the Danans can't really fight back due to how advanced the Renins are. It'd essentially be like trying to kill an invader in Dark Souls who has every miracle, sorcery, pyromancy, and a +10 weapon while you have a broken straight sword. However, this doesn't mean that there aren't any resistance groups. In comes our main character, Iron Mask. That's his name, because he has a mask made of iron. He's a Danan slave with no memories of his past. He gets involved with the resistance group the Crimson Crows when they capture a Renin woman named Xion. Xion is afflicted with a thorn curse that hurts anyone who touches her. After the Crows' hideout is ambushed, the group escapes only to find themselves surrounded. Apparently, Xion also has one of these master cores inside of her, and Iron Mask is able to pull a blazing sword from it and repel the Renin forces. I know you're probably thinking, damn, that sword looks even hotter than those 1000-degree knife videos. How does he wield it? Valid question, and the reason is because good old Iron Mask can't feel pain. Classic. Since their interests line up and Iron Mask is the only one who can wield the blazing sword, they team up despite being enemies. Over the course of the story, you'll meet other characters to join your party while uncovering mysteries from the past of Iron Mask and Xion, all while trying to take down the 5 lords. Doesn't make too much sense? Good, because it didn't really for me at first either. The story isn't bad by any means and definitely gets better as it progresses, but it's where I had most of my issues with the game. It's not unique by any means, we've definitely seen everything here before. A very hero-like main character with an ability that makes him stronger than the rest, and a tsundere. The other characters also fall into typical tropes, but I won't spoil them for you. The story is also very predictable. Normally you might get a prediction here or there right, but I felt that most of my predictions ended up being correct. I truly felt like a 300 IQ genius while playing, but alas I'm not. It's just written pretty basic. Here's just one example. We go to a city and meet the head of a resistance organization. I say to myself, that guy's just designed evil. Turns out he's evil. There's also a lot of ambiguity. Since Iron Mask has no memory and we know next to nothing about Xion, we're forced to piece together fragments of the story as we progress. That's completely fine as a concept, but the way in which certain events were revealed to us I found to be dragged out too much. Perhaps this is why I was able to get so many predictions, because something that could have been revealed to us 5 missions ago wasn't up until now. Now, while the story itself isn't that great, the storytelling and the characters makes it worth it. There's a lot of dialogue in this game, and I mean a lot. Thankfully, in Tales, we're told the story in a variety of ways. We have our in-game cutscenes to highlight more impactful moments, and even fully animated cutscenes for the really important scenes. There's also these, I'll call them conversation cutscenes that occur frequently in-game. The panels are fully voiced over, but appear on the screen almost similarly to a manga panel. I'm not sure if this is done in any of the previous games, but I really liked this feature. They sometimes occur naturally as part of the story, but you can also trigger them in a variety of ways. One of those ways is when you camp to recoup your health. Before resting, you can choose to talk to a member of your party, and sometimes you gain valuable backstory and become closer to that specific person. You can also press the action button at certain points to gain insight about the story currently in a very much conversational setting. This feature is great because you get to choose how much of the story you want to digest. You could skip every bit of dialogue or listen to the entire thing, but you're gonna want to listen to most of the dialogue because of the characters. Not because the characters themselves are that interesting, because like I said, they really aren't. But the voice acting is top notch. I can't speak for the dub, but they really brought out some heavy hitters on the Japanese side. When you have VAs like Yoshi Matsuoka, Sho Hayami, and Kazuya Nakai, you know it's gonna be good. Every voice actor performed incredibly and made me actually want to listen to what would otherwise be very run-of-the-mill characters. The main appeal to Tales has to be the gameplay, specifically the combat. One of the main things that's actually driven me away from JRPGs is the combat. Most that I've experienced use a turn-based system, which if done right can be extremely good, but it's never really appealed to me. I'm not sure if it's just my monkey brain saying, me want press button, but I've always enjoyed combat where I had full control, more of the hack and slash variety. Tales does exactly that. In combat, you can take control of any member of your party and fight. Although I will say it took me way too long to figure out how to control someone else. Like, 20 hours. When fighting, you have access to basic attacks and arts, which are your skills/abilities. You can unlock more arts and abilities in the skill panel with skill points to make your team stronger. You have the option of 3 arts to use on the ground and 3 arts to use while in the air. You'll eventually unlock the ability to have 6 arts on the ground and in air, but that's not for much later. The combat did have me a bit confused at first and took some getting used to. So each character has AG or an arts gauge. This gauge shows how many charges of an art you can perform because each art costs different AG. You also have CP or cure points. Cure points are spent whenever a healing art is used. So essentially, you want to mix in basic attacks with your arts to get the highest combo and damage possible on your enemies while trying not to run out of your AG or CP.
Write that down, write that down!
Doing damage and dodging will start to build up your boost gauge. Once your boost gauge is full, you can do a boost attack, which is just basically a special move. Iron Masks allows him to swing the blazing sword, often staggering enemies. When you get an enemy low enough or have a high enough combo, you can do a boost strike, which is a combo with one other party member that will finish off that enemy. You'll want to use these whenever possible, especially when there's multiple enemies because they do a large amount of AoE damage. You'll have access to all of the boost attacks and boost strikes from your party even if you aren't controlling them, which is great because they all have specific uses.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
I know that was probably information overload, but once you figure out the basics of the combat, it becomes one of the most fluid systems I've ever experienced. There's also a fuck ton of different combat settings. I didn't mess with them simply because it hurt my brain, but you can essentially cater the combat exactly to your liking. Maybe you want it to be autonomous and enact a particular strategy. Sure, go ahead. I'll even applaud them for the AI in this game. You don't have to manage the other party members you aren't controlling because they actually do the correct things. Let's just say they start face tanking a boss and are getting the shit beat out of them. You can actually just go into the menus, apply an item, and heal them up. You'll definitely need to use items at some points because the fights can be quite difficult. When I first started playing, I upped the difficulty just because of my massive gamer abilities, and 20 minutes later turned it down because I was getting my cheeks clapped. I love games that offer a challenge, and this one had the right amount of difficult encounters in the right areas. I do have one small gripe with the combat. I really wish we could use more than 12 arts total. I know there are only so many buttons you can program, but the AI teammates have access to every single ability they've learned, while I'm just left here repeating the same moves. The rest of the game is spent exploring different areas. You have full control of your character in a relatively linear setting. There are certain things to do like side quests, collect resources, go fishing, or camp. You can choose to explore as much as you want or just sprint through to the next area. There's also a fast travel option, but it's disabled in certain missions to keep some immersion. Speaking of travel, holy shit, there was one thing that actually really annoyed me. I can't tell you how many times you would go into a cutscene and then gain control of your character only to walk 10 steps into another cutscene. I'm not sure if this is a common thing in JRPGs, but I really hope it isn't. These were some of the only points where I skipped the story because I just wanted to play the game. Bit of a buzzkill to say the least. We've already talked about so much, and I haven't even mentioned the art or music. If you want more selling points, look no further. The game looks great. I know that's the case with most JRPGs, but Bandai really outdid themselves on this title. I'm not showing every area in this video because I don't want to spoil you, but we have so many different environments, each with their own unique landscape to explore. The character design is also really solid. Granted, background characters look like, well, background characters, but the main cast and villains have so many different colors that are pleasing to look at. There's even a ton of different outfit customization options, allowing you to further enhance your drip. Think this character's a bit plain? How about if they were a cat girl? Boom. Profit. The characters all move fluidly, and other than a few cases of jump force face animation, the lip sync and emotions are spot on. The combat effects are insane. All of the particle effects and abilities have really good animation, and even with all the shit that's going on, won't lag your game. I definitely commend them for their animations on both the boost strike attacks and the mystic arts. They actually become something I look forward to using in fights. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned the actual anime cutscenes. Yeah, those were created by the little-known studio Ufotable, aka Unlimited Funds Organization Table. Whenever you see that they worked on something, you won't have to question the quality of the animation, that's for sure. And then we add the fact that the soundtrack was composed by Motoi Sakuraba, who's composed most of the Tale games as well as other minor titles like Super Smash Bros. And fucking Dark Souls? Oh yeah, sign me up. It's just great music all around. Immediately when loading in, we're met with the title theme, which is an absolute bop.
I want to feel your hair right now. You are the place my only.
We have a few more of these songs that appear as we progress the story that actually change up our title theme, and the OST just in general slaps. Music hits when we're exploring, and it hits when we're fighting. The orchestral arrangements are on par quality-wise with those from Dark Souls, and that game is constantly praised for the soundtrack. Overall, I think that Tales of Arise offers something every gamer can enjoy. You like games with a lot of story? It has that. You like games with great combat? It has that. Games with a beautiful design and soundtrack? It has that. Games that allow you to put your waifus in swimsuits? Oh yeah, it has that. As someone who's never played a Tales game or really ventured in the JRPG genre, I think I might be hooked. Even though I already have 60 hours in the game, I still want to go back in and play more of the side quests. However, if you're not into side stuff and just want to play the main story, you'll still have a game that offers 40 to 50 hours of content. Unfortunately, I heard that there's no planned DLC for the game, so we'll just have to wait until a new title comes out. With that in mind, drop some of your favorite JRPGs in the comments or ones that you think I'd enjoy. I've been considering getting the new Shin Megami Tensei game that's coming out and also diving into Persona. However, I know the expected completion time for Persona is fucking 100 hours or something, so maybe not immediately. As always, gotta give a huge shout out to the people over on Patreon. If you're looking for another way to support me, this is definitely the best way. We have a bunch of different tiers and different rewards that you can get in each tier, with things like early access to videos, being able to pick the games that I play on stream, exclusive content that you won't see on the YouTube. I actually just put out a Neo review on there that you can see, and having your name at the end of the video like these awesome people. Thanks for watching. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications because YouTube doesn't like me. Hope to see you here next time.